It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. It is your feel-good breakfast show. It's a Monday morning, and as always, we're so grateful to be in your company at the start of a brand new day. And hopefully, it was a fantastic weekend for you and the family. Now, of course, when families do get together, especially on a day like Heritage Day, and there are braais going all around, we do hope for much fun times that are characterized by love and bonding. However, we often do find that family conflicts occur during these all-important times. And so today we chat about family conflict with our panel consisting of professional family law mediator Nicole Martin and clinical psychologist Kevashini Govender. Now, if you have any thoughts or experiences to share with us, please feel free to do so. You can, of course, do that on our social media pages, or you can send us a WhatsApp voice note on 063 408 8863. Ladies, it's great to have you with us, and I hope that you both had a fantastic Heritage weekend, right?
I just mentioned conflict-free.
Conflict-free.
Yes, indeed.
Conflict-free. Dun, dun, dun. I want to start off with just a chat about why family gatherings are the perfect place to catalyze family fighting. For some reason, there's something about, I don't know what it is, ego. Could it be, I have a platform now to express myself in front of people who matter? What is it about a family gathering that often causes conflict, Nicole?
So I think that in a family setting, one is often more relaxed. It's a safe space where people feel that they can let their guard down and express their views, quite rightly so, in a loving environment and before family members, you know, that they care about. I also think that in a family gathering setting, there's often pent-up resentment, and one might think that this is the perfect opportunity to air the issue that has been bugging us for quite some time. And an important thing to remember is that at a family gathering, we have multiple personalities gathered in one space. So there are often going to be differing beliefs and views, and there's bound to be a misunderstanding.
Yeah, and as you say, that pent-up, you know, kind of conflict that's been brewing for years even sometimes, Kevashini, but I think we can all understand that conflict in relationships is normal and families are no different, but when does it cross the line and then become something toxic?
Yeah, so rightfully said, conflict within families is normal and incredibly healthy. It's a way of working through old stuff and new stuff. It becomes toxic when there is a negative impact on well-being. For example, you know that feeling in your gut where you're feeling uncomfortable or unsettled when going to a family gathering? That's one of the telltale signs. You know, this is a toxic environment. Sometimes when you're at the gathering, you know, you get the sarcastic comments, the gaslighting. There's the family member that makes an inappropriate joke and says, "Oh, I'm just joking. Why are you getting so upset about it?" Or, you know, the criticism. Why are the kids' clothes not ironed?
That could really touch a nerve.
So those are some of the experiences that can make it a toxic environment. It leaves people feeling unwell.
Yeah, like where you can actually feel that somebody intends to do harm with those kind of comments. It's not just an airing of grievances or general conversation. It's like, I'm trying to hurt you. I'm trying to rile you up.
But you know, in South Africa, we have interesting patterns of communication. Often, our elders are the rightest people in the room, which is a bit of a problem for the younger generation trying to cut our path, raise our kids in a certain way. It's always an elders thing. However, it's unrealistic to prepare for family conflict. So is there anything that we can do to maybe mitigate some of the circumstances around a family member that you know is going to be the loudest person in the room, wanting to assert their authority or their opinion upon you and others? How do you prepare for that?
So I think a good way to prepare for family conflict is to manage one's expectations and to be aware that an issue that you may want to raise or ventilate with a family member will be difficult. And particularly in law, I often tell my mediation clients that going into the mediation, you know, manage your expectations. Be prepared that you may not hear exactly what you want to hear at the outset, but strive for solving the conflict in a conciliatory nature. And I think that that can also tie into family gatherings, and bearing in mind that the end result is a conciliatory solution to problem solving, but be aware that manage your expectations. You may be faced with difficulty and prepare yourself for that.
Have a buffer.
Have a buffer.
Have a buffer. And as we've been saying, you know, conflict is normal in any kind of relationship, but what makes conflict within families, Kevashini, significantly different to that you might experience with friends or lovers?
So both can be equally harmful and painful, but with families, we don't have a choice with which families we're born into. We're born into families,
Yep.
and then and then there's a history of growing up, and there's an intensity in that, and we're deeply integrated into our families with social circles and finances, and we become highly emotionally attached. With friendships and new relationships, it's different. It's a choice we're making. There's also less intensity, and we're less highly emotionally attached.
Yeah.
Therefore, we stand to lose less. If there's conflict, there's less intensity, and we stand to do less. So with families, more intensity, more emotion, therefore bigger conflicts, more frequent conflicts.
And that lack of choice. And as you mentioned finances, I can imagine that some of those conflicting situations and conversations this weekend might have been about the interest rate that's just recently gone up and the money that you owe me, Uncle Cyril, for so long that you haven't been paying me. Where's the money?
You know, family meetings have been a trauma for us. So I get it. I know why there's conflict there. But the thing is, I'm looking forward to more questions. If you have any, 063 408 8863. We'd love to get the panel to chat to you about it. Maybe the best way to handle maybe pent-up aggression is to pound it out.
Really, that's a great idea.
Just to pound it out.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to your Feel Good Breakfast Show. It's a Monday morning and we're live, large and in charge. Listen, we're talking all about the inevitable family conflicts that arise during these gatherings that we enjoyed over the weekend. And we're joined by professional family law mediator Nicole Martin and clinical psychologist Kevashini Govender. And of course, if you have any thoughts or experiences that you'd like to share with us, feel free to do so by sending us a voice note on 063 408 8863. And in fact, I think we have some voice notes.
We've got some voice notes. We'd love to hear you, so please weigh in.
Good morning, Expresso show. Loving the topic that you guys are having today, the raising, conflicts around family gatherings. I think what causes the conflicts in the family gatherings sometimes is the standards between the siblings, where one earns more or one lives a better life, so they tend to weigh each other, and it does actually raise a conflict also in that case.
That's quite an astute observation there, because those kind of things happen subliminally. You know, they don't say it directly to you, ladies. It's just under the surface. We'll touch on that in a second. Let's have a listen to another voice note that came through from you.
Hi, good morning, Expresso guys. This is Olivia. Is it okay if I walk out and I don't want to argue if we're in the discussion about the problem in the family?
Wow. Great question, Olivia. Thank you very, very much for that. And so is it okay to then just walk away? You've had it. You can tell that the situation is about to reach fever pitch, and then you just walk away, Kevashini?
Yeah. So I guess if this is something that's been brewing for a while now, maybe it's best for everyone, because there's not just two people involved, there's an entire family involved, for those two people to kind of go into a room and say, let's talk this out. However, it goes back to the question around toxic environment, toxic dynamics. If the person feels it's going to be toxic, it's going to just be screaming and shouting and swearing and nothing productive, then maybe it is best to walk away when people are calmer and then revisit it as another time, if possible.
It's difficult, though, because you can walk away and then automatically it's like, how dare you be disrespectful to uncle? You can't just walk away like that. So even your avoidance could be some sort of a disrespect. And I think that's the problem with some of the family conflicts, is that you know the people for so long, they want to sort of assert their authority upon you, like, I knew you when you were in nappies. How dare you talk to me like that? And I think it's so important to know where these pitfalls are. So, Nicole, when it comes to these common conflicts, seeding them, finding out their causes, what are some of the general causes, just to be a bit vague and maybe cover a variety of topics that could cause a bit more than the flames of the braai in a certain family setting?
So common causes that I see, particularly within a family conflict and in my mediation practice, as the viewer called in, financial is a big one. That of finance, whether it be arguments surrounding inheritance or one sibling, as the voice note said, earning more than another sibling, maintenance payments often, that's a topic for discussion. And what we as family law mediators are seeing quite often is different parenting styles, and I think that was touched on in the beginning,
Yeah.
where one thing is allowed in one household and not in another. So different parenting styles, and often that issue becomes a little bit more complex as well when we throw step-parents' views into the mix as well. So that's an interesting topic. And then lastly also, disapproval of lifestyle choices, especially as you mentioned, an older uncle
Yes.
may disapprove of a lifestyle choice of a younger 21-year-old niece. And that is also a common cause for conflict. I would say those are the top three.
Yeah.
Wow.
And you touched on a very important thing that, you know, a disagreement over lifestyle choices, because we do live in such a fluid community, not just in terms of lifestyle choices, religious beliefs, political affiliations and beliefs. How do we handle those kind of things in an appropriate way where fundamentally we disagree on what we stand for in life, but you want to respect someone's viewpoint, though standing firmly on your own?
Yeah, yeah. Those conversations are really necessary to have. They're sensitive, but necessary to have. However, if you have that conversation with someone who struggles to hold in mind that, you know, someone can have a different viewpoint to me and we can still coexist.
Right.
That conversation can be really difficult. So a strategy to manage that is, so that person sometimes can insult.
Yes.
Well, this is wrong. They can evoke guilt.
How could you?
If you don't do things my way, then this is going to happen, or they can impose, you know, their views on you. A way to manage it is to kind of suss out in the family, who can I have these conversations with? And they can be engaging and intellectually stimulating. And who are those family members that, you know, I should stay away from? Yeah, they can't manage this conversation. It's too evocative for them. And so let's limit the conversation, those kind of conversations.
All right.
Digging deeper into this, we're having a good family meeting over here.
Yeah.
Conflict-free at the moment, but if you've got any sort of questions, you can weigh in on 063-408-8863 as we continue our discussion. And is avoidance actually the answer, or does it go deeper than that? We'll find out soon enough. But over to the kitchen we go. I'm hungry.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. This is your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Happy Monday to you. Thanks again for joining us at the start of this brand new day. Now, even in the strongest family relationships, conflict is unavoidable and can often risk tearing a family apart. And that's why we discuss dealing with family conflict and strengthening the family unit. And so we're joined again by professional law or family law mediator Nicole Martin and clinical psychologist Kevashini Govender. And of course, once again, if you have any thoughts or experiences that you'd like to share with us, please do so via voice note on 063-408-8863.
All right, let's go back in. Can I start with you, Kavashini? Because the thing is, staying away, I mentioned avoidance. Is avoidance a solution? Is it a proper means to resolve conflict, or is it a way to save it for another day? What is the best practice and understanding around avoidance?
Are we
of
talking
family
staying away
gatherings?
completely?
I'm just talking about
Not even
that,
pitching up.
That auntie wanted us to be at the braai. I know what's going to happen already. I'm not going to go. I'm going to make an excuse and I'm going to leave it. Is that actually a solution, or are you causing a bit more of a rift in your family?
Yeah, yeah. I think we all naturally want to be connected to our families. So I don't think we want to stay away. So we want to be connected. We want to be part of, we want a sense of belonging. And, you know, most of us, we can work through conflict and resolve and repair something. And there are many strategies to do that. However, as a last resort, when we've tried and tested all those conflict resolution strategies, and we've really tried to work through it and it's not working, as a last resort, it's necessary. It's necessary to maintain a firm boundary for your own well-being, and maybe even the well-being for your partner, for your kids, because conflict doesn't just impact you, it impacts people around you as well.
True.
So as a last resort, when you've kind of gone through the list and tried everything else, it's necessary to preserve yourself.
Yeah. And Nicole, I want to go back to something we touched on earlier when it comes to the intergenerational conflict that we might experience, because especially from an African cultural point of view, it can be quite enhanced in terms of its intensity. What are your strategies that you can kind of advise that we use to deal with this kind of thing, where there's disagreements between you and an elder member of the family?
Absolutely, that's a good one, particularly in South Africa, because our older generation often demand respect at times where they are being slightly unreasonable given their age. So I would suggest to disagree but respectfully, and to bear in mind that we need to comprehend their point of view, because our older generation may have experienced things differently to what we have, but they must also remember vice versa. We've faced different struggles in the generation in which we grew up in. And lastly, I would say that while we are comprehending and understanding their viewpoint, we must remember that does not equate to us agreeing with them. And they must also remember that we can agree to disagree, but we can disagree respectfully.
The phrase "with all due respect" comes to mind. Although I don't know if Omar or Gogo Tatumkhulu is going to understand "with all due respect."
No, not at all. And I think it's a very difficult thing to navigate. However, I like the fact that you still have to put up your boundaries. You know what I mean? You are an adult too.
Absolutely.
You're not the kid that they saw playing in the streets anymore. And I think that's difficult for them to understand and comprehend. But now, actually spending quality time with family and actually addressing these things head on, I want to know about how to navigate that situation, because quality time is important. I want to spend time with family, even the ones that want to be right all the time. So how do we spend that time and make sure it's rich in quality to serve the family side of things as opposed to the resolution side of things when there is conflict?
I think sometimes conflict can be discussed verbally, and sometimes there's an unspoken boundaries that we can put in place. For example, if that auntie starts poking at you, you know, there's this sarcastic comment, then you're like, oh, we have to leave now. And so you send kind of unconscious messages that, you know what, if you're not going to maintain our boundary, then we're going to have to exit. But people mostly want to enjoy spending time with each other. They want to be connected. And I think also to engage people around, if there are conflicts, to create spaces where you engage with that conflict. So going back into a family gathering doesn't feel as tense and as overwhelming.
Absolutely. Any final words, Nicole, from you?
I would say that we need to remember that communication is key. And the minute that you have an issue with somebody, instead of communicating with everybody else around your other family members, communicate directly with that person as soon as possible and to address the issue head on. And to also remember that the aim is not to perhaps win the fight. It's to resolve the conflict in a conciliatory manner and in an amicable way so that you can find a solution that will ultimately keep those family bonds intact.
Yeah. Brilliant stuff. Ladies, thank you so much for weighing in on this very important discussion. We hope that you found the insightful conversation enlightening to you and your family, and hopefully it leads you on a path where you can resolve issues in a conciliatory manner, like we said. And I think we want to end off by taking a quote from a man who was no stranger to conflict, though his conflict might have been across borders, economically so. Ronald Reagan, former president of the United States, who said this.
All right. No matter who you are, we have all faced conflict in our lives, and family conflict is all the more complicated. When families fight, it is often difficult to navigate the situation cleanly. And here comes the quote of the day.
Exactly. I'm not
I set you up
Reagan impersonator.
beautifully.
No, he said,
here we go.
Peace is not the absence of conflict. It is the ability to handle conflict by peaceful means.
There we go.
And this was at quite a conflicting time.
It was.
In life.
And so that's why it echoes to you. Read that again, screenshot the TV, I don't know how that's possible, and take it into your day, because you want to create peaceful environments around us, whether it be at work, at home, at the braai, or for that auntie who always likes to be right.
Hey, and speaking about the environment at work and with people around you that you surround yourself with every day, how do you make that environment optimal? Let's find out.